This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Stefy Bull. Stefy, how you doing? Happy New Year.
I'm good, thank you. Happy New Year.
Is that a UFC top? You're not abandoning us, are you?
Do you know what, mate? It's the Venom, the sponsor, Terri, so they send us a load of gear, so I can't complain being rigged out, Dan.
No, that's fair enough. You're talking about Terri there, so it's a great place to start. She's moving up in weight, bidding for a world title in the second division. Just tell us what kind of prompted the move, and is it something you've been thinking about for a while?
Well, we didn't realise how the situation rose upon us once check weight started for our last fight. Obviously, it's how can you? Terri being out for over a year injured, and obviously not a body not back used to making weight and the size she'd put on, it just become more than difficult to make the weight, basically. I mean, a strength coach and a dietitian on a first check weight, actually, they did give me a call with the concerns regarding Terri's weight. But what do you do? She's been out there. It was just hard. There were a lot of big decisions, and it was just very difficult, mate. I mean, we're in a weight making sport, and in a nutshell, Terri had just outgrown the division, and like you say, I can sit here and go in depth about many things, but you're only giving excuses. So it is what it is. Let's just say, for health and safety, our own well-being, we just had to go up. We just had to move up, and unfortunately, what happened. But you know what? These things do happen in boxing. It's not nice when it does happen to you, but yeah. So no beginnings, no weight, and that's now the target, the lightweight division.
What were your kind of emotions during the fight itself? You're obviously in the corner. She's not performing as well as we was getting involved.
That's my base. I'm going to go post manager. She'll have about 30 seconds and then she'll retire then.
Yeah. What were your thoughts in the corner? Because you're obviously watching Terri. She's not performing as well as you know she can. You know there's been issues going into it. It must be quite difficult for you to watch that.
Yeah, obviously, Daddy. It's a big occasion. I mean, taking it, just putting myself back into that corner. It wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. And Terri's mannerisms in the changing room. Obviously, we've not been in that scenario for over a year, and she was very, very out of character in the changing rooms. And about 40 minutes, half an hour before ring walk and during the warm up, she was really out of character, and then things kicked in there to me, and mannerisms and things. It's hard to explain when you're not. Do you know what you have to be in a changing room to understand how it all works? But she just wasn't herself. And then about 20 minutes before the fight, she just seemed really pale within herself and stuff. But yeah, so it wasn't nice. And then when she came into the ring, and I can remember going over to open the ropes for the ring entrance, and as she was coming through the ropes, and I said to her, "Listen, you bounce around this ring like the world champion you are." Then she just walked straight over to the corner and just stood. And it was weird. It was very weird, and it kind of hard to explain, Danny, if you know what I mean. I mean, being a fighter myself, I've been in them situations. I've been in situations where you're just you're just not yourself, and it's like you're not in a fight, but you are. It's very weird, but yeah, she just wasn't herself, and you just could tell from the changing rooms to the ring entrance, she just wasn't herself. But do you know what, Danny? It's not. I don't want to start when there's no excuses here. I mean, Alicia Baumgartner, we can't do anything. That what a great win for her. It was a fantastic shot. So I'm not going to sit here and be, this is why Terri lost that, because it ain't. This is the business of boxing within a weight-making sport, and only fighters and coaches and people involved in boxing really know and understand how hard it can be for these lower weight divisions making the weight. In a nutshell, Terri were on probably the same carbs, calories as a child were on in when it was coming down to it. She because she'd not made weight for over a year. She were from start of camp to end, and she's not an overweight person. She's athletic. She had to lose 20 pounds to make that weight.
Wow.
And that's exactly what. And so listen, it is what it is. It's done, and it's time to regroup and move forward as a lightweight.
And is £5, that extra £5, is that definitely going to be enough? Is one division enough?
Terri will move up. I mean, she's just 25 years old, so there's plenty of time. But as goals and as plans and as aspirations are to go through the weights, that's where she will end up. But obviously, it's like that. She's not 20 pounds over now. So the situation was she'd been out the ring for over a year and not even been in a position to be making a weight for a contest because of injury. We weren't even doing any intense boxing training because she'd got one hand. So there were no punching, no sparring. She ended up doing all the work with the strength side and the fitness because she couldn't do anything in boxing. Everything was technical. It was shadow boxing. So there was no intensity in boxing. So her body had just developed. She'd become very muscular and her body had just developed. And then when it come to making a weight, that's when the realization and how much body fat. I think she was down to some. Don't quote me on this, but in and around 7% body fat. Wow. I mean, for a lady, a female, that was just crazy. And like I say, a strength coach and even moving forward, if Terri were to win, they were already concerned that it's just not safe and healthy to be at this weight. It's messed the menstrual cycle up. That's all been just left in a bit of a mess in the short term, and it just messed a lot of things up. And obviously, mentally, when you're on very little calories and carbs, and fight week comes, do you know what? She's so happy now that she's finally like with the decisions being made to move up, and she can get back eating and things. But yeah, I mean, like I said, she's not that 20 pounds over now. She's in and around. She's probably walking around at like 10 stone, 6 pound now because she's fit and back in gym and can punch. So lightweight will be very easy compared to she's very fit and athletic, training twice a day. So even if she were 10 stone 6 to even consider making 9 stone 4, it's still over a stone to lose. And a body fats, and there's nothing on her kind of thing. So yeah, it's pastures new now. I mean, it is what it is. It's not nice when you see that shot circulating, but we can laugh about it. Terry's got a great personality, and as you know me, I like a little bit of banter, and it's our job now. We get back to work and we chase new goals, and we try and get the best fights possible.
Matchroom have obviously always been right behind Terri. I'm assuming that continues up at lightweight. How long do you think it will take for her to get back into world title contention at the new weight?
Do you know what? When it comes to Terri, I'll give Eddie Hearn has been. I mean, Eddie's been fantastic from day one to where we're at now. He rang us both, even morning after, and always checking up. And listen, Terry's a big priority at Matchroom, and we've got big plans, and he's been absolutely fantastic, Dan. And I had a good chat with him on phone. Even when he's on, I mean, I don't know, he's on holiday and I'm pestering him on phone calls, and he always gives us time when he gets back. So that's really appreciated, knowing you've got somebody as big as Maxi and backing us. But I had an idea with Eddie, and I explained that Terri's in activity now over a year, and even to what's going to happen, I just wanted to be busy. I just needed to be active, and he's agreed that she'll be out 3 times in 9 months. and then we'll look at what situation is after the 9 months. So obviously, they got Katie has every belt going at that lightweight. We're in our lane. We're not in calling out people, chasing. It's not even on our radar. We're realist. Terri has got all the ability and will, but what she hasn't got is the experience. She's not got the experience that all these GB fighters have having, where they've been all over the world. She's just got pro experience, so she's learning all the time. So she'll be out in March, out again in May, June, and then she'll be out again by September. So three fights consecutive in the gym all the time. World-class fighters. Don't want to be in with anybody who we know results before she's stepping into the ring. She'll have harder spars, or I don't believe in none of that. The right fights at world level, keep moving forward, and by the end of the year, the year, hopefully we'll be in a position where we can make a decision how fast we want to go, or do we want to stay in that lane. So yeah, it's brilliant to have Matchroom and Eddie supporting us and these kind of decisions, and it's going to be good. The pressure's off for now. I had a 24-year-old world champion that were talks of unifications, undisputed, and going to America, and it was crazy. And I've never once sat back and thought, wow, this is just a young lass who's, do you know what I mean, not used to any of this, just rolling with anything. I mean, you give Terri a due, she's happy to fight anyone, and she wants to be in the best fights. That is her own attitude. So yeah, it's just that we're back to the drawing board. No pressure of world title fights. Just get in. Let's try and make the best fights possible at this division. Let Terri grow into a lightweight, and hopefully by end of year we'll be in a position whether we push towards a world title, or maybe she might need another fight or two.
2021 wasn't all bad. You had 2 fighters in particular who were both right up there for British Fighter of the Year. I think most people would agree, in Maxi Hughes and Jason Cunningham. Before we talk about them individually, give us an idea of why, after so many years of plugging away, kind of under the radar, few really good wins, few devastating losses, this has been the best year of each of their careers. Yeah.
Do you know what, Danny? A quick just to let you know, your viewers know, or people watching. It's a great story, this, but Danny and Jason were both from the same amateur boxing club. They're both same age. They're both from council estate working miners' villages. They both were at Doncaster Plant Works amateur club. And them 2 lads will have been up and down country, back at a little car with old Ken Bloodore, the old coach, going to all these working men's clubs for years and years as kids, up and down that country together. They didn't win anything at junior level. Jason, when he at seniors, ended up winning a national ABA title. I think Maxi got to a semi-final. But it's a great story where them 2 kids have probably drove up and down country, hundreds of thousands of miles, sharing a car, winning, losing, driving home, and just crack. And how it's ended up for them to both end up with TV deals, and both they've both got identical records. I think Jason's lost 6, Maxi's lost 5. They're very, very similar careers, and I just think it's a great little story. But yeah, I mean, I think with Maxi, you can't buy experience. I mean, you've got all these you look at these Olympians and these top amateurs. Maxi and Jason are both very similar. They've learnt the trade in a pro ring. They've took the licks. They've had the defeats. They've come back, and they've both won in away corner. And when they weren't supposed to win, both had big wins in the pandemic, where Jason beat Gamal Yafai on 3 weeks' notice. Maxi's big break were against John O'Carroll, where they were both massive underdogs, and they've just took the gamble and won. And it's a great example of 2 model professionals who are in the gym consistently all year round, and when an opportunity's come, they've took it. But the difference is like with Jason, super bantamweight's his weight. he had a couple of defeats at bantamweight when he'd outgrown that division and he just couldn't make it anymore. And then he took opportunities at featherweight and he was never, ever big enough. So when he'd lost to Reece Bolotin, he lost to Jordan Gill, he just wasn't big enough. He just wasn't a featherweight. But what happened is, and people are going to be surprised at this, but when Jason boxed Ben Jones for Commonwealth featherweight title, that steered him into featherweight division. So we've got a phone call for that fight about 4 or 5 weeks before, and the monies were crazy. It were like $5,000, but it was on a small show. And I said, but it's my job as a manager to present every fight that gets offered to me. I've got to present it to my fighter, and then I'll advise on whether I think it's a good fight, a bad fight, or the monies could be better. And I put that fight to Jason, and I says, this has been offered, but I don't think you should do it. £5,000, you pay your coach. I don't think you do it. And he says, I'm having it. I says, I'll beat that Ben Jones, no problem. And I'm like, I don't want you to have it, Jay. The money's not good enough, and it's a small show. I know the budget isn't there to give you any more. He says, Stefy, please, I'll have this fight. I'll win. So we were having that fight. All's good. Training's good. 2 nights before, so this is night before weighing. Yeah. The promoter rings me. We've got problem. We can't afford to pay you $5,000. And I'm like, oh, God. So in a nutshell, mate, he ended up fighting for Commonwealth title, which I didn't want him to do it. But same again, he'd done his training camp and he was adamant of winning. $3,000. $3,000 for a Commonwealth title fight. And I told him he's not to do, and that exactly. So you've trained. People don't understand this when you've not got the glitz and glamour on TV and they're getting paid. This is small law boxing and how it works. And I understand from the promoter's side, because I'm a promoter myself and I know the budget, the sanction fees and everything else. So if they've not got sponsorship that's covering it, or pulled out at last minute, or kids not running enough tickets, I totally understand where. But it was totally, the promoter were up front and says, look, this is what the budget is. We probably can't. And that was it. And just Jason took the gamble because he was adamant that he was going to win. So he did go to London. He did go on, by the way, not his coach or his manager didn't take the percentage off him, by the way. Or said he'd have been boxing for free. But that lad went up there, won that title in away corner. And because he won the title at featherweight, then obviously his career is then pushed into featherweight division. So hence the Belotti, where Eddie paid us good money, then coming back with Jordan Gill. But he just want a featherweight. So we made the decision with Jason never to fight at featherweight again. Go to his natural weight, super bantam. So he came back down. I think he won a Central Area title against a good fighter in Paulie Canomite, solid win. Then I think he boxed a couple of journeymen. Then opportunity come to fight Michael Conlon at featherweight for WBO international title. So we sat down and I'm like, listen, Jay, we've made the decision to say it's super bantam. This is it. What is it that you want to do? But the money was good. It was on a massive event, Warrington, and who did Warrington fight? The big bill in Manchester. I forgot what we fought. But anyway, Warrington. Yeah, it was a big.
Frampton fight or not?
Frampton, Warrington and Frampton. That's the one, Danny. So he got paid well, and then, do you know what? He went and boxed Michael, same again, Jason, went up a weight, taking the opportunity, and he gave a great account of himself. I think it was like 97, 93 or something like that, on scores, and he gave a great account of himself. But after that fight, we said we're never going to go to featherweight again, stick to it. And I think he might have defended his Central Area title. Then I got him a British title eliminator against a good fighter, English champion. He won that. Then a couple more journeymen, and the pandemic kicked in. There were no opportunities whatsoever. but Jason has stayed in the gym all throughout the pandemic. And obviously, the opportunity to come with Gamal, and the rest is history. Then he goes in away corner again. Frank won a very hefty purse bid. Jason got paid very good money and went and done the job again. But it's like, moral of the story is where you go. And now he's got the deal with Frank, and big things are happening for lad. But remember, this kid's took his licks going up and down country on these small shows, fighting for peanuts, for major titles. And then you've got, like, people have the decency to be, like, I've seen Brad's video with yourselves, and he felt that he got robbed. And there were no robbery in that fight. You can't, I mean, it were close, it were competitive. And if people have an argument that Brad won, that's understandable. But how can you not what Jason's gone and done? How can we do see controversial scoring. So how can you have 3 judges all going Jason 1 by 2 rounds and so on, 1 by 3, and I think 1 by 1. But all 3 went with Jason. So it's like, what do you do? It was a unanimous decision for that kid, and so much negativity. I mean, that kid's been up and down the country and taking his licks. I mean, give the kid a pat on the back, what he's done. So I'm dead proud of Jason, and obviously there might be an announcement this week. He'll be defending his European title on a very big card that everybody's waiting for the announcement. So yeah, it's him. He deserves it. He deserves all he gets. And then you throw him back to Maxi, who's then we've gone from John O'Carroll, and he had the run in, then winning the British title. It forgot about that he jumped on a plane and went to Dubai at the time to fight an undefeated kid and won there. And then when the demolition job that the Mexican did with Tennyson, and then that opportunity came, same again, Maxi in away corner. Not like, he's not beating this Mexican. This is where Maxi goes and fails. And then he probably puts in his best performance. The fight didn't even look competitive, really. When you were sat down ringside, Maxi put an absolute masterclass on, and it wasn't even close, and it was fantastic. So yeah, then Maxi's defending his title on the Warrington card on the 26th of March. So we're just working on an opponent for Maxi. So yeah, 2 fighters, 2 great runs, and definitely, like, you've hit the nail on the head there. Definite arguments for fighters of the year.
Yeah, 100%. Now, how do you get them from where they are now to, and I don't mean a disrespect to the IBO by saying this, but a world title shot, or a more recognised world title shot?
Well, with Maxi now, it's like we all understood what people's perception is of the IBO, but what that title's done now is put his name out there. It'll get him paid the purses that he deserves, and he's got an opportunity now to probably go down the right path. He could be 1-2 fights away from a major world title fight with the right opponents. It's a very, very solid division, but somebody's going to want to have a voluntary defence when these titles do clear up. I probably Cambosos maybe have 1-2. Them titles will 100%. They'll all have mandatories. They won't stick together. We all know how it works with when you've got all the belts. There'll be too much, and there'll be mandatories. But Maxi can be in a great position over the next 6 months to be a great voluntary, because now he's becoming a name. He'll be on the Warrington card, where if it's the right opponent, same again, all eyes are watching, and a lot of people. I do strongly believe that Maxi could be 1 or 2 fights away from a world title, a major world title fight. But he definitely, he deserves a voluntary defence of his IBO title, and definitely, he could be in a position with the right opponent to have a world title eliminator against a genuine top 10 fighter, to see if he's eligible for one of your leading 4 governing body world titles. But I just think there's that do you know a confident fighter that they're hard to beat? And Max is riding Crestfoot Wave. He's confident. He's now a full-time pro. He's got a sponsor, so he's not working. And he's in that gym mixing with Josh Warrington. And there's that, like, success breeds success. And he's, like I say, riding the Crestfoot Wave. And I think he could well fight for one of the leading governing bodies. Why not? You'd love to see him fight for one. I'd love to see him fight for one. And many and casual boxing fans are starting to stand up and notice and think, yeah, that lad deserves. I mean, he's got some great support on social media when and Maxi's got a great personality, and it's all coming now. Now people are actually following him. He's a proper Yorkshireman, and he's got a great personality, and his personality is shining through. He's a very likable character. And if there's one man I'd love to see have a world title fight, it would be that man, because what a story. You know, from the disappointment in British title fights and fighting Walsh to where he's at now. It's nothing, you know, it's a real Cinderella story, but I don't think he likes that Cinderella man tag now, because he's not the Cinderella man now. So yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of Maxi, and he's a pleasure to work with. He's never ever turned a fight down, and you know, he's happy to fight anyone. But at the same time now, I think he deserves a really big payday to secure his family's future.
And then you've got Jason. I think he's ranked by the WBC and the IBF. The IBF haven't released their latest rankings yet, but it will go above Brad Foster, presumably. So he's kind of closing in on the world level as well. Is that going to take a little bit longer, perhaps, than Maxi?
Yeah, well, Maxi, I think Maxi could be in a more position ready for a world title, where Jason's got his mandatory for his EBU title. So we've spoke to Frank's office and explained that we're happy to go straight into that mandatory. And then it's exactly the same. Jason's a proper fighting man. He wants to test himself. So, you know, maybe one or two with this European, and then I think a world title eliminator to see where Jason's at is very realistic. You see, Jason's been like very experienced. Is Jason like with everything? There's not anything that he hasn't experienced in boxing. But the kid's never been beat at super bantamweight. That's his weight. He's 5'9". He makes the weight very well. There's no struggles whatsoever. He's eating plenty. He's drinking plenty. But his last two performances show you that, you know, he's adapted as well. Jason, believe it or not, people haven't seen some of his fights because they're on small shows, but a very aggressive style, not a come forward style, but taking centre at ring. And he's he's adapted over the years and used his attributes where he's a southpaw, his long is awkward, and just stepping around ring. If he has success with it, and it becomes very awkward and people struggle. But yeah, same. Jason's full of confidence, very similar to Maxi. But as European champion, I just think he's got a mandatory, so we might look at another fight after that. But I think he'll be in a position as a world title eliminator without a doubt. Same again. They've gone from domestic level fights and pulled round into genuine, could possibly be world title contenders. Who knows? World champions. It's all about being in the right place at the right time. One thing about them two guys is they're both in the gym consistently. So if an opportunity were to come and it were away from home, they would be ready for it.
You look at what they've done, especially in the last couple of years. You look at the job with Terri going from, you know, no experience to world title and performing on the big stage. What do you look for when you're signing these fighters? How do you manage to pick out these gems?
Do you know what, Danny? I've just got there's a lot of hard work, and sometimes if you don't pat yourself on the back, nobody else does. But it's just something that I find natural. I mean, I love boxing, but there's a lot of past him. Gavin McDonnell never had an amateur fight. Look what I did with Gavin. Robbie Barrett lost more than he won in amateurs. Turned pro at 18-year-old. British champion, English champion, IBF European champion. Andy Townend, bang average amateur. And this is since the 10 years I've been promoting. There's a lot. It's never. I work very hard, but it's never. I work very hard, but I don't find it hard, if you get me. And there's an act to promoting. There's an act to getting your fighters the right fights. But I'm from the old school, Danny, where hard work in the gym. I'm relentless. Things monogamously. It's like, you know, we work on the basics. I'm all for the basics and just hard work. If you've got a fighter fit, you're halfway there already. And obviously, I like, it's almost 30 years I've been in the pro game. I had my first fight as a professional, 18-year-old in 1995. I've been in professional boxing since then. And a lot of years of being a fighter myself, being around great fighters as a kid, your John Joe Irwins, you know, Mark Epton's where we live. I've been lucky enough to work with some old school fighters and see how they work and how hard they work. And there's just, I don't know, I'd get asked that idea. It's just, there's an act to it, and obviously it works. I mean, you've got, like Dave Colwell, a great trainer, McGuigan, a great trainer, and Joe Gallagher, great trainers, Bull, the great trainers. They're just great trainers. So, but they'll all have different systems. But obviously the system works. And it's just probably same in our gym. Now, Ray Doyle's been with me like 10 years. He was one of the first fighters I managed, Ray. And he's become a great trainer. So we're in the gym and we've just got a system that works, and we just stick to it. And obviously you see people come and go in boxing, and that's how it'll always be. But you know, consistent. I've always had a good gym and a good facilities. So I'm just hard work, Danny. And you know, we've got a formula that obviously works.
Well, it's good to see it all paying off.
Yeah.
And Terry from strength to strength, hopefully in 2022 as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of. I mean, Raven Chapman, obviously. Yeah. I believe that Raven will be a world champion. She's from the very same stock as Terri with the work ethic, and she's strong, relentless. But what she's got, what Terri didn't have, she's got the experience on the GB at the highest level, where Terri never had any of this. So I'll be fast tracking Raven faster than I did Terri, because she has got the experience. I've got a very good fighter in Carl Youssef, who's 16 and 0. He's been out injured for a while. He's mandatory to British. He's back in the gym. And I've got a couple of ABA champions at lower weights, and I've got a good stock coming through. So we're back promoting. I'm hacking away under small holes without anybody realising, and then I just pop them into these TV promoters when they're ready. So yeah, boxing's healthy. It's great to be a part. You know, you've got Sky, you've got BT, you've got Eddie on DAZN. I'm looking forward to 2022. Get January out of the way. It's dragging right now. I'm having a nightmare with this January, Danny. But yeah, very excited for this year and can't wait to get going again.
Great stuff, mate. Really appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure.
No problem.
And yeah, let's do it again after the next fight or in the build up to your next show.
Yeah. You'll probably see it maybe some of these shows that's happening in March. Have you got any plans to get to any of them, Danny?
Fingers crossed. I mean, yeah, I have my kid at weekends, so it's a bit difficult.
So the fights that Eddie's just announced on DAZN, which main event are you looking forward to the most?
We did a video about this yesterday. It hasn't gone out yet, but John Ryder, Danny Jacobs is my personal favourite. But I like most of them, to be honest.
I think Ryder can win that one.
Yeah, I fancy Ryder.
I think he could surprise people. Wood and Conlon's my one I'm looking forward to. I think that's a fantastic fight. Two talented fighters. Well, Wood's riding the crest of the wave, been looking devastating. And I think Michael's got all the class in the world. I think it's a proper pick and fight. I'm looking forward to that one.
Who are you picking?
Do you know what, mate? I think they're both great fighters, and that's what I can't. I'm going to sit there at that fight as a fan, and I'll be happy for whoever wins that fight, because they're both good fighters. I've had Gavin in with Lee, and I've had Jason in with Michael. So I know them both, and I've met them both. But I just think it's a proper fight, mate. So may the best man win on that one, and I just hope they stay safe and have good camps. Looking forward to it.
Great stuff, mate. You take care, and let's speak again soon.